Okay, I am so excited. It is a dream of mine to actually do this summit. In the past, I've worked with people as a financial advisor, as well as a district sales manager for Avon. And so I work with representatives all the time. And in both of those scenarios, I would always speak to people about living their dreams, or what does that look like for them? What does their future look like for them? And I was always amazed at how many people were not always able to answer that question. And it's just started this whole thing in my head, because I overthink everything. But it started this whole thing in my head of how can I get people to tap back into um, that core of, finding something that they really truly want. And one of the things that I remembered growing up was that some schools, not all, had career days, and where parents would come in and they would just basically talk about what they do. And I understood that that was a great way to expose people to what's possible, right? Because the reality is that sometimes you only know what you know. And sometimes you may not want to follow in the exact footsteps of somebody else, but it'll make you think, well, if they can do that, then maybe I can do this, or that sounds similar to what I was thinking about. And that's what I started thinking about with Living the Dream Summit. Um, I wanted to showcase people who follow their nagging. And so one of the things I talk about a lot is there's a three pieces to our framework. What is anything is possible? If you have to believe that. You also have to believe in following your nagging. It used to be that everybody has a purpose, but I felt like that was too daunting. Like, purpose, oh my God, destiny, no. I can't get past that thought process. But I know deep inside there's things that are in people that they may be dismissing, or not taking very seriously. I guess that's the same thing. And so I admire people who follow their nagging and follow that dream, sort of like what I was just talking about with the gentleman who started Zoom. Um, and and then the third one is that it has an appointed time. And so for me, the Living the Dream Summit has met its time, because although I've had this idea for a while, I am now getting to talk to people about them following their nagging and following, their dream, and where has it brought them to, and just being able to say to people, like, if they can do it, then you can do it, and or do something like it. So my first guest is Wendy, who came to the US in 1997 from South Africa with nothing but, in her words, a bag of dirty clothes. And today, she's inspired thousands of business owners to follow their entrepreneurial dreams. As a CPA, Wendy's areas of expertise are all things money and taxes. And I feel like that's a great way to start, because this kicks off in the beginning of the new year and everybody has taxes on the brain. So, Wendy, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And yes, I am a huge believer in the American dream.
Yes, absolutely. So, tell us your story. How are you living your dream?
Well, I was in college in South Africa, and I would tell people, I'm going to go to America one day. I'm going to America one day. And they would all look at me and go, yeah, yeah, crazy. She's not. She's crazy. And for me, being here today, being able to walk down Central Park to
Yes.
go to Los Angeles and be in Beverly Hills, those were my dreams as a teenager that everybody told me were not possible and I was crazy. And so to do that today, I am so grateful every day for being here and being having the opportunity to follow the American dream.
Yes, absolutely. So it's really interesting that you say that, since you were a teenager. It's a true story that Missy Elliott, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she's a rap artist, and she famous and music producer, quite famous. And she used to say, as a teenager, in the sixth grade specifically, I believe, she said, I'm going to be a music entertainer," and she said everybody laughed at her, in school. And so I'm bringing it back up because I know for some people it's just so crystal clear and it's so real. And your ability to be able to see it, and then it's there's a long journey between seeing it and getting there, right?
Yep.
Would you agree? So to be able to step into it so that you can appreciate where you are today is huge, right? So how did you find your way to where you are today?
Well, I want to be clear that it's not easy. So you don't have this dream and then it just happens, right? I mean, am sitting here in gratitude today, and I've certainly enjoyed a fair amount of success, and for that I am grateful. But I came here with nothing. I was living in a rent controlled apartment. I took the bus around Los Angeles, and anyone that knows a big city knows public transport. That's not easy. So I kept at it because I did know what I wanted, and it's not always easy. And so I think the message for anyone who has that, like you said, in your gut, that dream or that feeling that there's more, there should be more for me, I want more for me, don't give up when times get hard, because I've had hard times. I've been divorced, I've paid off credit card debt, $50,000 in credit card debt.
Mm,
So I've been there. It's not easy, but as long as you stick with what it is you want and the gratitude for what you have, and every step along the way being grateful for that next step, I found that that really kept me going, even in the times when it was tough.
absolutely. So tell me a little bit about what you love about what you do and what does that look like for you every day?
So preparing tax returns themselves, not very exciting. Don't tell anyone. The exciting part about what I do, and the reason that I continue to do it, is that I truly believe I'm helping people. There
Hmm.
are so many people today who are miserable in corporate America, miserable in the roles that they find themselves in. And I am here to help them make a change. Buy a business, start a business, and let someone show you how. Again, you have to want it. It's not an
Right,
easy road, not
right,
all roads, but if you want it, there's someone to help you. And that's where I get great pride in helping people understand their money and their taxes in words that you can understand. You don't need to have a college degree. You don't need to
right.
have a degree in finance. It is our responsibility to explain it to people in words they can understand. And that's really what gives me joy every day, is the aha when people go, oh yeah, I can do that. Yes, I
Absolutely.
understand why that's deductible. Then that gives me joy.
So, can you share a little bit about how you got from riding the bus to helping people with their entrepreneurial dreams? What is that story?
Job after job after job working for the man,
Yeah.
and saying to myself, it'll be the next job, right? It'll be the
Right,
next job. So I went from, 20,000 a year to 40,000 a year to six figures. I'm like, now I've arrived. Now I'm
right.
making 100,000. Now I've arrived. Life is going to be great.
Yes,
And I get to that job. I'm like, wait, it's actually worse than the
yes.
other job. I'm making
Right,
more money, but I'm miserable. And I
right.
went on and on, one job after another. And then one day, I just actually hired a coach, hired a personal life coach, and she did an
Mhm.
exercise with me. I'll never forget it, about what is your dream day? What is your perfect dream day? And today I live that dream. Long,
Mhm.
long, 20 years later,
Wow.
but I live that dream. And I quit my job and I said, I can do this. I'm going to start my own business. I started with no clients and I built them up one at a time, one
One
at
at
a
a
time. I worked
time. That's how everything really is. It's actually one step, one moment out of the time. Understanding that the dream is ahead of you, what you feel nagging at you is ahead of you, and it's not even always a clear picture of what that looks like. To tell you the truth,
right, right.
it's just almost like an inner knowing, and the picture becomes clearer as you get closer, right? It's sort of like when you're on this journey of the horizon, you may not be able to really make out that figure or that building or whatever it is on the landscape. But as you get closer, it starts to make more sense. What would you say your biggest hurdle was as you were following this journey?
I didn't have much of a support network, and that was hard. I've never had a mentor, and I didn't have family here. I didn't have a soft place to land. So that was definitely challenging for me because I think I made a lot more wrong turns. I got stuck a lot more because I didn't have a big support network, because I didn't go to college, I didn't go to school here, I didn't have those people. So that was definitely harder for me along the way, but it also made me stronger. And I think the important thing for everybody is to learn to ask for help from your network and from your family and from your support network, because I think that will make your journey easier.
I totally agree with you. I have spent the better part of the last quarter of 2022 building an advisory team and building a team to have a support to just make it. To your point, to have ideas to be able to bounce off of, to get some guidance, to have some understanding, and so and you know what the amazing thing about that, you know, in your head sometimes asking for help can seem a little hard. It was pretty amazing that everyone that I did reach out to said, you know what, that'll be an honor, I would be happy to do it. And
Wow.
right, and so you may get caught up in your head like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to ask, but to your point, I agree with you. So having a support, it can be one of the toughest hurdles that you can face. And but if we just reach out, you'll be really surprised how many people are there along the way. And I would imagine that one of the reasons why you pursue the clients the way that you pursue them is to be that support that you felt like you didn't have. Am I right
That
about that?
judgment-free zone. Yes, and the
Yes,
judgment-free zone, you know? So I will have people call me and go, well, I have a bit of debt. And I tell them, I paid off $50,000 in credit card debt, okay? I
yes,
have money in the
yes,
mail. And okay, so there is
yes,
nothing that we're not going to talk about here, because I've been there. I've been divorced.
yes,
I've paid off the debt. I've owed the IRS money. I don't sit in a glass house.
yes,
So I think allowing people to feel that there is no judgment and I am here to help. And more often than not, I've been in their shoes. I think
yes,
that has really allowed me to build some wonderful, trusting relationships with clients where, you know, when it comes to money, you cannot tell someone only half the story. When you're
right,
working with an advisor of any sort, just like with your health, you can't only tell them about the headache you get on Friday. They need to know about everything so they can
yes,
treat you. And I think that's
absolutely.
really the breakthrough.
Absolutely. I love that. So, I am a big believer that everything happens for a reason. So, this is sort of a tough question to ask for me, but if you can start over, what would you change about your journey?
I would get rid of all the hard times. I just want it to be fun. Really? Did it need to be so hard? But I'm with you, and I think it is part of the journey. And what I tell my daughter, I have a teenager, she laughs at me, and please God, one day she'll believe me, that be grateful for the little things. You
Yes,
know, just stop every day and be grateful, even when it is tough, even when those
yes,
credit card bills are coming. Just be grateful for the little things, because those little steps kept me going. When you look too far ahead, it does not feel attainable. It does
right,
not feel realistic. But if you take one little step and be grateful for the little things, then those awful things that just happen don't
right.
feel quite as bad.
I love it. So, what's the one tip, and I think you just said it, that you'll give to someone who wants to get started with something entrepreneurially, and it's holding them back?
I would say there's no time like now,
Hmm.
because often I hear people say, well, I'm going to do that when I lose 20 pounds. I'm going to do that
Yes.
when I have $1,000 in the bank. I'm going to do that when I find a husband. I'm going to do that when, and none of us knows when is ever coming. And there is no good time. Buying my first house, that was so scary. There was no good time. The time is now. So whatever you're going through and whatever stumbling blocks you're putting in your way, don't. Just start. You don't have to start big by buying a building on Michigan Avenue, but just start taking clients on the side. Start
Mhm.
offering your services to people. Just get started following your entrepreneurial dream, because there is no one and nothing out there that's waiting for you.
Absolutely. So, what if anything in particular, have you found to be the most important trait or quality for creating the dream life? And
I
then
am
how do
a
you
big
develop it?
fan.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right. No, I'm a big fan of calendaring, and I'm kind of old fashioned. You can see I have my good old fashioned calendar,
Yes,
and I have found calendaring and blocking time for me to walk, to get fresh air, to work on my business, to make phone calls. I found that that has really been a trick and a good suggestion that I received many years ago, even to the point that I only see clients on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And people say to me, oh, Wendy, what if, they can only come on a Friday? Well, then they're not a good client for me because I only
exactly.
see clients on these days, and really down to the hour and the block of how do you want to spend your time. This is your time. You decide how you want to spend it. That for me has been life changing as a business owner and an entrepreneur, so that I don't work 80 hours a week and get
Correct.
to the end of the week and go, I'm so tired. What did I accomplish? I don't know. I mean, my desk is
Yes.
full of paper, full paper. So, and truly managing my calendar is the one big challenge that I think really can help you get ahead as a business owner.
Absolutely. I would also, so I immediately fell out my chair when you said that because I am also a huge calendaring person. Google Calendar is my friend. I have many of them and they all speak to one another. Um,
Wow.
I believe in,
Wow.
I do. One for personal, one for, I
Yep.
still take on clients as a management consultant. So one as a management consultant, one as I'm moving into this role, and my calendar is my friend, period. And I really believe that to be true, um, because I feel like time is our most important resource. Some people think it's money.
Yep.
I think it's the great
No, it's
equalizer.
not.
Everybody gets 24/7.
Yep.
It's what you do with your 24/7. Now, going back in the day, I had to give 40 hours a week and sometimes 60 hours a week with my time because again, like you were just saying, I was growing into where I am now, right? But once I understood and began to understood that my time is my most precious resource. It's the only resource in life that you can never get back. That's how precious it is. Um, I've learned to master it. I started figuring out, and I too, Wendy, take clients Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's it. And it's been a true blessing. But I had to learn even for my family because I had three young daughters at home, but no longer. They're all out of the house now. And I had to figure out how to block off time even for them, blocking off time even to spend with my husband, blocking off time to go back to school and get my master's, blocking off time. So if we can really understand how critical time really is to who we are in our lives and and understand that money becomes a byproduct of that and that of our greatest resource, we can win. So I totally agree with exactly what you're saying. So
Because we can always make more money, right, Cheryl? We can always make more money.
yes,
You cannot make more time. And one of the coaches I worked with used to have a big clock on his wall, and he said, "Let's assume I live to 80 years old. This is how much time I have left," and it was running all day long, and that was his
that would
reminder.
freak me out.
I tell my husband every day, I'm like, we can always make more money, my dear, but
Yes.
we cannot make more time.
Exactly, exactly. So, okay, so calendaring, when people approach you, are they usually just starting a business or have they been in business for a little while? Like, what type of work do you actually do? How do you support people?
So most people don't come to me when they're just starting. I wish they
Yeah.
would, but they don't. They turn to Google. Most people come to me a year or so into their business when they are stuck and done and tired. And at that point where I am their last resort, I wish it wasn't, but that is the case because there seems to be so much free information on the internet. And the problem is it doesn't actually help anybody because it's so much and it's not for each person. So Most people start by going to the internet for free information, and then a year or so in, when they get stuck and tired and frustrated, is when they contact me. Either a tax problem or a cash problem are usually the reasons they come and see me. And then when I, open the can of worms and see what's going on, then I can say to them, okay, you came for a tax problem, but what I see is a pricing problem or a cash flow problem or a customer segmentation problem. It's tax problem is what landed on your desk, right? But that's not what caused the problem. The problem is because you're not pricing your services accurately. So then I'm able to dive in and help them with so many other things, but it's usually cash or taxes that bring them in the door.
Wonderful. Wow, that's amazing. So, oh, I'm so excited about this, and where you've come from and how you're helping people get to where they want to go. What should everyone's biggest takeaway be from this conversation?
That you can do it and you can do it now. Just get started. Doesn't matter if you mess it up, just get started. You only have today. So I don't want you to wait for the perfect business plan or anything else. You don't have to wait for the website. You don't have to wait for any of that. Just get started. And I'm a big believer that just start now. Those are the people that succeed.
Absolutely. And it goes back to exactly what I was saying from the beginning, just stepping into the fact that anything is possible, right? You
Yeah.
have a nagging inside of you. It's for a reason. And people are waiting for you to step into that reason, right? It's because we're all interconnected and it has an appointed time. Time is our friend here. And so I agree with you now. Now is the time to get started
Yeah.
and follow it. I mean, you heard it from Wendy. You heard from where she started from and where she is today. And you heard her say it's not easy. And I just want to say one more thing about it not being easy. It not being easy does not equate to it's impossible. And I'm sure Wendy, you'll agree with me with
Correct.
that, right?
Correct. That's exactly right. I would not be sitting here today if it was impossible. It is possible. You just have to keep going and you just have to work at it. And it is, but if you don't start, you're not making progress and you're not
Exactly.
getting there. And you got to get the yucky stuff out of the way so you can get to the good stuff. If you don't start, then you're nowhere. And
Yeah.
I read all these reports on the news about layoffs and people worried about being laid off. And it breaks my heart because I know so many of them are just waiting. They're just waiting. And I wish they wouldn't wait.
Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that. So, do you have any resources that will help any of our
Uh,
attendees that will, help them put what we're talking about into action?
So on my website, which is wendybarlin.com, there are a lot of free resources, all sorts of worksheets and cheat sheets to help you specifically with tax questions, issues, setup. Wendybarlin.com, there are a lot of free resources there. If you are interested in starting a business, please reach out to me. I am not going to charge anyone for that conversation. That is my gift back to the world. And then lastly, my book that's deductible. It's for sale on Amazon, and that's a book about basics of how do you make tax deductions from your regular life.
Yes. So, can you tell us more about that book?
Sure. So I wrote the book That's Deductible 3 years ago because I spent 25 years not having the time to answer people's questions. I was so busy growing my tax business that I didn't have time to answer.
Mm,
Questions were the same over and over and over again, the same questions. So I wrote this book for the small business owner who doesn't have an expensive CPA or accounting firm to call when they have questions about what is deductible?
right.
Can I deduct my home office? Am I getting to get audited if I deduct this dinner with my husband?
Yes.
Those questions are answered in the book. That's deductible, and it's for sale on Amazon. It's a quick, easy read with lots of cartoons to keep you engaged.
I love it. So that's deductible. Thank you for writing that book because I've had some of those questions myself. What can I deduct and what can't I deduct? And I know that people are really. I see all of these different types of. Well, I hear of all these because I really am not on social media, but I hear of all of these different types of advice from TikTok advisors and things of that nature. Um, and I'm sure that there's some out there who are qualified to share. But I know that we have someone right here with Wendy Barlin who is qualified. This is what she does for a living. She's living the dream and she's trying to help everyone live theirs as well. So we will make sure that you have all of the information so that you can click right from here as well about Wendy's website, about her book, and where you can find her if you would like to work with her. So Wendy,
Thank you.
thank you so much for being a part of this. Is there anything else that you would like to say?
Just thank you, Cheryl, for the platform to educate people who really need somewhere to go in a calm, friendly environment to learn. I think that's
Yes.
the hardest part today is discerning where we're comfortable and how to learn.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. I just want all of us to do it. I know we have someone it's inside of us, and my biggest dream is somebody reaching out to us and saying, "Hey, I watched the summit. Because of that, I did this, that, and so, and
Wow.
because of that,
Yeah.
my business grew, or I changed in my career and I impacted this other life." That's my biggest dream out of
Right.
all of this. So,
Right.
thank you. Thank you again for your time, Wendy. I truly, truly appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thank you.